let's talk about how to swing. It's Paul Tobey here from Jazzmentl.com. Thanks for joining me for another one of my tutorials. This one is super important. I get asked all the time from people in the master classes and on the YouTube tutorials, how do I play better swing? It's really a feel thing, but I've also got 5 really important tips to help you swing better as a musician. It's important to stick around to the end to hear all 5 because I really feel it's going to be super useful to you. I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I went back in my history and I thought about, well, how did I learn to swing? And I came up with these 5 really important tips. Let's start off with number 1, and that is open your ears and listen. Now, I know that sounds obvious to some of you, and you probably spend a lot of time listening to jazz, but it's not what you're listening to, it's how you're listening to it that matters. So whether you're listening to Oscar Peterson, or Bill Evans, or any one of a number of jazz pianists that you admire, it's important to listen a specific way, which brings us to number 2. Number 2 is a listening technique, but also a feel thing as you're listening. And it's really important to understand this, that you think and feel on 2 and 4. Most swing is in 4/4 time. Sure, there's 3/4 time, 5/4 time, all do swing as well, but it's really based in 4/4 swing. That was kind of the OG or the original. So thinking and feeling in 2 and 4 means internalizing that feel. Okay, let's listen to the music and try to feel it. 2 and 4. Now that's 2 and 4, but most people are 1 and 3 like this. It doesn't work. It doesn't feel the same. 2 and 4. 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4. The other thing to listen for is that the bass player is actually accenting 2 and 4. So if we listen to just the bass and drums play, try to hear that the bass player is accenting 2 and 4 when they're walking their bass lines. For example, a walking bass line. Like that. It's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Does that make sense? So let's listen to it and see if you can hear the bass player accenting. The other thing that I want you to listen for is the hi-hat. So oftentimes what the drummer will do, or in most cases, is the hi-hat will click on 2 and 4. Let's listen to that. And even with the brushes. So it's really important to get that backbeat and internalize that. Okay, let's move on to number 3. So this is really where the rubber hits the road. This is how to start thinking and practicing as a musician in terms of swing. While the bass player is accenting 2 and 4, and while the hi-hat is going on 2 and 4, it is important for you to think in 1/8 notes. So when you play 1/8 notes over that feel, you're accenting every other note. So the accent is on the and of the beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So that's where the accent is. So if you play to scale, it's like this. And a lot of people write swing like a dotted 1/8 note and a 16th note, or triplets where you've got 2 1/8 notes and then another 1/8 note as part of the triplet. It's really not like that at all. It's more like even 8ths. So if we were to play even 8ths, it's like this. The only difference really between that is even though the first 1/8 is a little bit longer than the second eighth. They're almost even. It's just the accent that makes the difference. And that's where most people go wrong. I think they try to play swing like this. That's swinging backwards because the feel is on 1 and 3 and the accents are on the beat. Jazz is off the beat, on the and of the beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's really going to help you with your swing. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, which is number 4, is a comping technique that helps you feel that offbeat. And what you're going to do is you're going to comp with your left hand on the and of 2 and the and of 4. So what does that mean? It means 1, 2, and is where you're going to play, 3, 4, and. So on the and of 2 and the and of 4. So you're never playing on the beat with your left hand. Comping obviously means that you're going to play along with the bass and drums. But instead of playing on 1 and playing on 3 or randomly, one good way to practice is to just play on the and of 2 and the and of 4. Let's try that. So what we were doing there is we didn't always play on the and of 2 and 4, but when we did play, we played on the and of 2 and the and of 4. So sometimes we went like this, and then let a bar go by, and then. Now that doesn't mean you can't comp on the beat. It doesn't mean you can't comp with 2 hands. It doesn't mean you can't create rhythms. It's just this is the way to start to feel swing. And of 2, and of 4 in terms of comping. Okay, number 5, and the final tip or the final part of this exercise is to introduce the right hand. Now, the right hand is obviously going to be playing eighth notes like we talked about before with the accents on the offbeats. We're working on the song Bernie's Tune. And the bass player and the drummer, they're going to be playing the melody. I'm going to play the melody as well. But then when we get into the solo section, number 5 is basically understanding the bebop language. And the bebop language is made up not just of scales. It's not just made up of chords. It's also made up of things like enclosures. So that's over, under, over, and creating little patterns. That's part of the bebop language. Once you learn more of that bebop language, and we've got lots of videos on this channel that talk about that, you're going to be comping with your left hand on the and of 2 and the and of 4, and your right hand is going to be using that bebop language along with that eighth note feel that we talked about. So let's play the tune. I'm going to first play the head and then a little bit of soloing to give you the idea of what we're talking about. Okay, I hope you got something out of that last part. Obviously, there's a lot of bebop language in there that we haven't really talked about in this video, but you catch the feel. That left hand playing on the and of 2 and the and of 4 and the right hand playing in eighth notes with the accents being on every other beat. That's the level that you want to get to, and that is my 5 tips on how to swing. If you want to practice Bernie's tune like we did in this video and you want to go through this process exactly as we talked about it, then I'd suggest you download the backing track and the sheet music to Bernie's tune. I'm going to put a link to it up here in the corner. Also take a look on your screen. There's a coupon code to grab that for 50% off. If you like this video, just reach down, click the little thumbs up button. It really helps us here on the channel. And if you'd like to make a comment about your swing and how you actually made it better, we'd love to hear that in the comments below. Thanks so much for your time. If you're looking for information on how to understand a little bit more of the bebop language, I suggest you check out this video next.